All right, Clay County, we're back for another video. As you can see, I'm doing this one outside tonight. It's a pleasant night, and I'm going to be kind of, I guess, getting into the Halloween spirit. You can see the light coming up and shining on my face in that way that kids do at camp when they're telling ghost stories. But I hope you can see me well enough, and I've got my laptop out here. I'm going to be reading off that a little bit when I'm reading the text pages. But we're going to get into tonight's examination of the new 2018 biology indoctrination tool. We're going to be on page 13 in that textbook, and we're going to be in the section entitled Unity and Diversity. That phrase right there alone is I don't know, problematic for me, but I'm not getting into that tonight. So I hope we'll have a lot of people jump on tonight. Looking forward to comments. Had some good conversation on the last one. I do want to start off by giving a shout out to the ladies that are running for the school board this year. Latanya Peterson. See, I got it right tonight. I'm a little more awake tonight. But Latanya Peterson is running for a new position. She's not been on the board before, but she's a fantastic lady. I love talking with her. She's always full of energy, always wanting to talk about the kids and what she is going to do for the kids when she gets onto the school board. And of course, Ashley Gilhausen and Betsy Condon, who are on the school board currently and are running for re-election. All three of these ladies, magnificent ladies. They're really for the kids. They're really for school choice, giving the kids the best educational opportunity that they can that they can find, and I really am proud to support these three ladies. It's fantastic what they're doing for the school board, and don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. So, hey Scott, welcome aboard. I'm glad you're tuning in with us. Anybody else, feel free to chime in. So let's get started. I'm going to read what the textbook says, and then I'll come back with my comments and cut out some of the things. If you see me looking away, I've got my laptop right here, and I am reading off of it out here in the dark. So that glow you see in my face is love for my wife, or maybe my laptop, but we'll just say it's love for my wife. And anyway, let's get started here. Unity and diversity. Evolution is a unifying theme of biology because it accounts for both the diversity and the similarities, or the unity, of life. As you study biology, you will see time after time that organisms are related to one another. When you read about cells and genetics, you will see that all organisms have similar structures and chemical processes. These shared characteristics result from a common evolutionary descent. Humans and bacteria have much more in common than you may think. Both human and bacterial genetics are based on the same molecules, DNA and RNA. Both human and bacterial cells rely upon the same sources of energy, and they have similar cell structures. Both human and bacterial cells have membranes made mostly of fats that protect the insides of the cells from the environment outside the cell. Now, think about the vast number of different types of organisms. All the species alive now are the result of billions of years of evolution and adaptation to the environment. How? Natural selection of genetic traits can lead to the evolution of a new species. In the end, this genetic diversity is responsible for the diversity of life on Earth. Analyze. How does evolution lead to both the diversity and the unity of life? So, in this short section, you have a number of things that just hammer you. Go back up to the very top here. Evolution is a unifying theme of biology. Now, keep in mind, we're not supposed to be teaching evolution as if it is fact. Yet here they are. There's no quibble here. There's no language that casts doubt at all. They should have said something along the lines of evolution is thought to be by a number of scientists or a lot of scientists or whatever. But they just put evolution is. They identify it as a fact. And every time they talk about it, it's talked about this way. That is absolutely the opposite of what what they said it was supposed to do at the school board meeting in 2000 and I'm sorry, in February of 2018. I keep going back to the 2008 conversation, but thanks, Adam. So just over and over again, you're going to see this. Evolution is, and it's just dead on as if it's true. So, but anyway, it accounts for both the diversity and the similarities, or the unity of life. So, the way it's worded, the students will understand it as if it is true, or at least it's being presented as if it's true, despite what they are being taught at home. Consider the paragraph above. And guys, think about this. You're looking at 50 minutes a day, 5 days a week, for 40% of the time that they're in their biology class, because the evolution is taught as 40% of their curriculum. They're hammering this point home, that evolution, evolution, evolution. One of the big things they're doing right here in this paragraph is associating human DNA with bacteria. And the reason they do that is because bacteria is kind of their go-to in the form of evidence. They look at bacteria and they say, see here, look, this is evidence of evolution. You can see bacteria over many, many generations, which their generations are very rapid. They don't take very long to go through generations. Bacteria live and die very, very rapidly. So we can talk about hundreds, if not thousands of generations in just a few short years for bacteria. And they try to analyze the bacteria here to get an insight into evolution. And the biggest, longest bacterial investigation took place for 30 years. And I'll try to provide a link to that study in the comments. I know I've posted it up before in Science Freedom Florida and on my Facebook page, just my personal one. But they did it for 30 years trying to prove evolution. And in 30 years, so many thousands of generations of bacteria. And they were trying to show, they did it with the E. coli bacteria. It's a very famous and kind of nefarious bacteria, but they did it with the E. coli bacteria, and after 30 years, you know what they had? Bacteria. E. coli bacteria. It was a huge waste of time. An absolute waste of time, because it did not prove anything but that E. coli bacteria give rise to E. coli bacteria. That's all it did. And for them, it was a waste of time. I think actually that it was a great experiment. 30 years of confirming Louis Pasteur's law of biogenesis, that life comes from life and only from the life the only life you're going to get out of something is the same life that it is. An apple tree is going to bear apples, bacteria is going to bear bacteria, and so on. So I thought it was a great experiment, but the evolutionists not so much. So take this next statement out of the reading. It says, as you, that is the student, as you study biology, you will see time after time that organisms are related to one another. And what they mean by that is that if you go all the way back, great-great-great-great-grandma was a banana, or great-great-great-great-grandma was an ape, or great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandma was a single-celled organism. And they're related in a way that you're related to your parents, or you're related to your grandparents. Not related in a sense of just some general commonalities, like we have relationship to other living organisms because we're made up of the same 5 building blocks, or we're related to our environment in a way. There's a relationship there between us and our environment, or there's a relationship between people and their cars, or people are like me, big nerd, that are have a relationship with their computer where we're always on it and we're doing things with it and we take care of it and we upgrade it. That's not the type of related that they're talking about. They're talking about an actual genetic relationship here. And so they're telling the students, as you can see, time and time again, everything is related. And that is saying that we all come from the same ancestor. So the last page 12 that we looked at last night, that said that evolution is just changing populations over time, that's a lie. It's just a flat out lie, because that is not what they mean. They mean that we all come from a common ancestor. So, Yeah, Adam, it is nice. So they say you'll see time and time again that organisms are related to one another, except we don't see that. Let's see, I'm going to skip a little bit. Some of this I wrote down way back a couple of months ago, so I don't want to belabor the point there, but I really want to point out that nobody actually sees these relationships. They don't actually see the relationships. They assert the relationships. They say the relationships are there, but there's not actually any evidence of these relationships. There's a well-known phrase, correlation does not mean causation. So just because we have certain similarities does not mean necessarily that we have a common ancestor. That's not a necessary conclusion, and I'll get into that here in just a minute. But we don't see where there's an actual relationship, a historical relationship in the genes between bananas and chimpanzees. That doesn't exist. There's no actual evidence of this. They just assert it. They say that it's true. They repeat it over and over and over again that it's true, but there's no actual relationship that can be drawn. There's no mathematical relationship that can be drawn. If you took I heard it put this way once. If you took a sphere, just a mathematical construct, the sphere, you can do mathematical changes to it so that you can twist it, turn it, you can shape it in all kinds of different ways to make it anything that is it's just like taking a water balloon and not filling it up very much, and it's kind of long and kind of limp or whatever, and so you can shape it a whole bunch of ways without breaking it. But you know what you can never do with that water balloon? You can never turn it into a donut. There's a limitation to what you can do with the genetics of a kind, a living organism, a kind of living organism. Like if we talk about dog kind or cat kind, or those that we know are obviously related because of their phenotypes, there's only so much change that they can go through before you run up against mathematical barriers that they're just never, ever going to get past. And so to say that we're all related, they have to show that evidence, and they can't. They don't have the evidence that proves the assertion that everything is all related. It's just not there, and that's what we're going to study over and over again. So the next section, it says, when you read about cells and genetics, you will see that all organisms have similar cell structures and chemical processes. These shared characteristics result from a common evolutionary descent. Both human and bacterial genetics are based on the same molecule, DNA and RNA. See, there it is. There's